Today on the news and why it matters. Oh, the impeachment plot thickens because now we have the full whistleblower complaint. We will get into it, tell you all of the facts that you're not going to hear on CNN. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Stu Burgier, Mr. Stu Burgier himself.
Thank you.
Stuber.
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 Yeah,
I made a movie about it.
Graham Allen, host of the Dear America podcast. Thank you for being here. And on his maiden voyage on the show, also from the Dear America podcast, Jake Stone in the house.
Jake is here in the house.
No pressure. We just expect like a pitch perfect performance.
Got it.
He's leading the show.
Is he?
Yeah. I told him.
Here, switch places with me. Got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing. If you are looking to refinance your house, you're wanting to buy a home, you need a home loan, whatever the case may be, American Financing is your source for that. They use salary-based people, not commission-based people, which means that they're not in it for the kickback that they might get from a certain bank or a certain plan that they want to put you in. These people at American Financing really want to just do what's best for you and your situation and your family. In fact, Stu had an experience with them where you found a crazy loan that you wanted to do, and they said, we really don't think you should do that.
Not really what we do here. But it's interesting because, we've been having these low interest rates for so long now that I think people are just starting to get used to it. This is not the normal state of the world. So if you can refinance, now is a great time to do it with American Financing.
You can go to AmericanFinancing.net or you can call 800-906-2440. That is AmericanFinancing.net. So the whistleblower complaint has been released. We've got it. We've all got it on the table. There's way too many pages of it.
I've decided to just pull a Pelosi and not read any of this.
We're
just going to go.
We're
just going to go with it. Yeah, I'm ready.
If the lawmakers can do it, so can we.
That's what I gathered from that. I'll just read it later. Let's talk about it now.
Right. Stu, if you would, can you just walk us through kind of the summary of this? And then I do want to get into how it's being portrayed in the media, because I do think that's an important point.
Yeah, these stupid things keep breaking in the middle of our radio show, so we have to actually read them. But I know it's a terrible outcome. I'll give you the case basically the whistleblower is trying to make. Basically, they're saying Giuliani goes and meets with a bunch of people in Ukraine from, let's say, December of 2018 through about March of 2019, has several meetings with them. And the implication from the accusation is basically that he's trying to get him to leak some dirt about Biden and get this stuff out there. After those series of meetings, several news stories come out in The Hill, which through John Solomon and others, that outline serious accusations from officials in Ukraine against people like Biden and other Democrats. This is obviously, if true, would be something to consider here, and you'd want to know what went down. After this, there's a bunch of accusations in here about how the election was going on in Ukraine, and there was a back and forth as to whether Trump is going to actually talk to the president of Ukraine, meet with him. Of course, the president of Ukraine wants this to happen. There's money that's being potentially withheld. But the one important thing that you can pull from this is it really isn't a first-hand account, and that's admitted on page 1. I don't really know any of this stuff. This is just stuff I've heard. In fact, here's an example of it. According to these officials, it was made clear to them that the president did not want to meet with the Ukrainian president until he saw how he chose to act in office. And he wanted to know whether he was willing to play ball on the issues that had been publicly aired by Giuliani. In the middle of this paragraph, however, it says this: "I do not know how this guidance was communicated or by whom." Well, you don't know anything then.
Rumor has it.
Yeah, rumor has it. It really is that bad. And it's not the typical way, you would file a whistleblower account. A whistleblower account is supposed to be like, I was going through the computer files and I noticed this shady behavior, or I overheard this conversation and this abuse. This is like,
if you click this YouTube link, there's a video.
And that is, it's populated wildly with things like tweets, public tweets and news reports. About 70% of it is just news reports. and building this sort of timeline out so they can try to structure this argument into something that's believable. Look, I mean, I think it's always smart to wait and find out what actually comes out. I mean, like, if the president did do things that are illegal, I want to know about him. I don't care what side he's on. I mean, I think all Americans are like that. But this here, what we have so far is so far away from something that's impeachable in my mind that it just, again, brings me back to the same point. I don't understand why the Democrats are acting so much differently with this than they did with Mueller. Mueller, you had a 2-year investigation where the entire 2 years, Nancy Pelosi is saying, no, impeachment's not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do. Not the right thing to do. This, before we even get the transcript, she's all over starting an inquiry. It is such a wild swing. There's multiple theories as to why that is, but really, I think that's the key piece of knowledge we need right now.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Graham?
I think it's ridiculous. I think that it's going to end up. I mean, obviously, I'm the same with you. If the president did do something he's not supposed to do, then yeah, it doesn't matter what side he's on, right? As much as I like the guy, as much as you may not like the guy, if he did something wrong, we should get to the bottom of it. I think this is just another borderline desperate attempt at this point, and I think what it's going to do is that if they get anything other than an impeachment, they're in some really serious trouble in 2020 because at this point, the American people, even the Democrats in America, have to be going, you know what I mean? Like, how much longer are we going to do it? It's going to be Obama in 2012. We tried so hard to get rid of Obamacare and all this other stuff that when it actually came time to the election, we didn't have anything to really run against, and it was over before it even started, kind of thing. I think that anything other than an impeachment leads to that very kind of outcome in 2020.
Yeah. Jake, what do you think? I mean, I know this is obviously pure speculation because nobody can get into Nancy Pelosi's head. I don't know how much there is even going on up there. I don't know, but
you go through a lot of layers of Botox.
You do. I was watching her yesterday. I was just like, God, she just looks constantly surprised. She is so surprised every moment of her life because she's gotten the facelift with the eyebrows are just like this. Kind of feel bad for the woman. But, Stu brought up the point, she held off on this for so long, and now all of a sudden, with the least amount of evidence possible, she flips a switch. Why do you think that is?
I think the party's in trouble. I think they realize they probably aren't going to win 2020. So she also has pressure from people like AOC, some of the freshman leadership in the party. But yeah, it's a last-ditch effort, I feel like, to last second tarnish his reputation in some way. Because I think they know deep down they don't have somebody who can beat Trump. Like, maybe Warren, but
I don't think they even really think they can get an impeachment. I think that they're so desperate that they're hoping for the public opinion kind of thing at this point.
I don't think Pelosi wanted to do this. I think the pressure from people like AOC and the squad.
Squad's a lot more powerful than a lot of people give them credit for.
Yeah, well, they influence all of the social media keyboard warriors. Who are probably tweeting not so nice things to Nancy Pelosi.
And they've got Alyssa Milano calling, which is the same thing as the president calling you, pretty much.
Very true.
And whatever Alyssa Milano wants you to do.
To be fair, I would want Alyssa Milano to get off the phone with me as quickly as possible. Okay, I'll do whatever you want.
Her two sisters will put a witch spell on you from Charmed and all that other stuff, right? So you don't mess around with Alyssa Milano.
I want to kind of still on the whistleblower topic, but let's kind of go over how it's being portrayed by our lawmakers, how it's being portrayed by the media. Let's go ahead and listen to Adam Schiff, who was...
Do we have to?
I know, I'm sorry. Who was basically giving his account during a congressional hearing, so this is a formal thing, giving his account of what actually happened during Trump's Ukraine call. Watch.
Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the president communicates.
The essence.
We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it, on this and on that.
Good read.
I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in character, what the president was trying to communicate.
Oh. In character.
What had happened was, in some ways, this is basically, yeah, wow.
Basically exactly what the president said.
This is what I want to be true.
I could go be a lawyer. If that's all you got to do, I'd be like, let me tell you what happened. All right, this is basically what went down. Yeah, I could win a courtroom like that.
I mean, but it's just terrifying because you've got people who are they're supposed to have some sort of moral compass in the middle of a formal hearing on impeachment. You should be able to trust them to, I don't know, stick to the facts on the piece of paper. We have a transcript of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I wish we had a buzzer for all of the times he said something completely inaccurate.
Are they really supposed to be that way anymore? I mean, we have to ask ourselves at this point, what really happens to people that don't tell the truth in front of, a jury, in front of whatever it is, Congress, however it may be? What really happens to people when they don't tell the truth? And we know they don't.
Yeah.
Very little.
Very little.
Like, and
so,
right?
So what does it matter? Hey, dude, we need you to go up there and go sell this thing.
It's just
do what you got to do. Yeah, they're going to figure out you're not telling the truth, but don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
It sounds more like the conversation Biden had with the prosecutor in Ukraine.
That he admitted to on camera.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
On camera.
Yeah.
Again, this is not the action of a party that thinks it's going to win. Right, like when you don't act like that when you're confident that this comes from what seems like a position of desperation. And again, I don't think the polling supports that. Right, I mean, at this point, you never know how these things go. When it comes to one-on-one, I mean, Trump has a lot of advantages, especially over I think someone like Elizabeth Warren. But it's like, there's no reason for the Democrats to be looking at this climate and think they have no chance of winning. If they were competent, they would have a very good chance of winning. I mean, Trump's approval is not exactly through the roof. He doesn't have an easy path to re-election unless they nominate one of the people who are running, which is a slight problem. And maybe that's the realization. God, these people just suck, and they're just giving up.
Exactly.
But on something like that, there's no need, if you have a strong case, to make up another case to present to the people. Just read the thing that's there. If you can do that, your case is strong, you win. When you don't have a strong case, you have to make it up and make up essentially a sitcom about the event you're talking about. And that's, that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, the media's coverage of this, much different than, real life when we come back.
Narrative.
So this is going to be something that you're going to want to clip. Share this link with your friends and make sure that they understand, all of your friends who are watching CNN, MSNBC, who are saying, well, listen, Katie Tur told me that Donald Trump specifically asked for Zelensky to do him a favor and then asked for him to look into Joe Biden. It's all very clear. I heard it on CNN. Okay, well, let's just give you a little bit of a little montage here of what they're doing, and then we're going to explain to you why they're just completely twisting the entire situation. Watch.
What there is proof of and what there is a paper trail of, because the White House just released it, is a summary or notes of a conversation that the president had with the man that was sitting to his right, the president of Ukraine, where he said, will you do me a favor and investigate Vice President Biden's son? Will you do me a favor and get involved in the 2020 election? Vice President Biden is my chief political opponent. At that point, he was leading Donald Trump quite a lot in the polls at the time.
A just released transcript of a phone call shows President Trump asking Ukrainian President Zelensky to investigate his political rival, former Vice President Joe Biden. And in this call, the president repeatedly stresses how much the U.S. does for Ukraine. And then he says, quote, I would like you to do us a favor. The president asks Zelensky to dig up dirt on Biden and his son, Hunter, who sat on the board of a Ukrainian energy company while his dad was vice president.
The Ukrainian president mentions buying missiles from the United States. And President Trump tells the Ukrainian president, I would like you to do us a favor, though. President Trump urges the Ukrainian president to work with his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and Attorney General William Barr to look into Joe Biden and his son's business dealings in Ukraine.
So, Stu, how many words did you say are in between the dots of "I would like you to do me a favor" and then where he actually mentions Joe Biden?
This is a this ellipsis is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this particular use. I think it's 540 words.
Just the 540 words.
If you can eliminate 540 words with a couple of dots, I mean that's
a sentence or two.
Yeah,
that's like a chapter in a book. It's like a whole take that whole thing out there.
That's amazing. I mean, the favor was about something else. I mean, as we probably know by now, and
to help the DOJ with the Russia probe because Russia was influencing our elections. I thought that was like a thing that the Democrats cared about.
Yeah, and look, I think I understand how this stuff works. We all understand how the media looks at Trump, right? Which is every action that he takes is based on negative motivations, horrible motivations. He's a terrible person. He never does anything for a good reason, right? So if you look at it through that lens, well, yeah, it's really obvious that what he's done here is he's just tried to manipulate this election and trash his opponent. But of course, that's not a fair lens to look at it. You have to understand that there is the idea that a vice president is using the influence of his office to influence another country's operations when a bunch of money is on the line and a bunch of that money happens to land in the pocket of his son, who not only is his son, but also is traveling with him on the same plane for long flights to Ukraine.
Right.
I mean, at some point, does it come up that he's making $50 grand a month from this company that is being investigated by the prosecutor that Biden is targeting? Yeah. It's impossible for me to imagine that did not come up. That is what we're supposed to believe.
Right.
So what the media does is they take away the negative connotations of what Biden might have been doing, and they take away the positive connotations of what Trump might have been doing. And when you look at it through that lens, sure, it looks really bad. However, maybe you should give a fair hearing to both sides and not only consider that Trump might have been doing something good, but also that Biden has a logical argument as to why this could happen. I just can't find, I wind up, because I know Washington too well, I wind up believing the negative of both. Like, do I believe that Donald Trump was solely asking about Ukrainian corruption? Probably not. Like, he realizes that the national interest and his personal interest aligned on that topic. The same thing with Joe Biden, right? Like, I mean, the national interest, it was a defined part of our foreign policy to go after this corruption. And also, oh, by the way, it really helps my son. Like, I think that's
But would
politics.
that be an impeachable offense?
I do not think it is. I don't love it. I don't love the way it looks from either side.
Right.
However, when it comes down to it, the bar for impeachment should be high. High crimes and misdemeanors. I'm going with the high version of high crimes and high misdemeanors in my view. And I think that beyond all of this, you got a chance here. You're a year away. Present this case and let the American people impeach this guy if they want him impeached. Don't try to take away the power of our election. I
want to move on really quickly because, Graham, I know that you have to leave after this, and I want to make sure to get your thoughts on the Anti-Defamation League has officially added the OK sign to their database of hate symbols.
Unreal.
Yes, along
with
censor
this.
I can draw it out because I researched, all right?
Oh, this is the last episode.
One, you got to like hold it. You get like your fingers have to go out this way, but this is supposed to be white.
Okay.
And this is supposed to be the P.
How do you know
P.
that?
So how do you get your fingers to go completely to the side like that? I don't know.
Well, they've also added the bowl style haircut. Which I read that the bowl style haircut they also added, and at first I was like,
I've said it for years. Beaver Cleaver was the most racist show in the history of America.
Well, you know, so this is why they did it because all of the mass killers, they say. The mass killers have a bowl style haircut. They said
True, I've never noticed that before.
They said it resembles the same one.
Maybe they just don't have a lot of money.
Sported by white supremacist mass killer.
All
Dylan
haircuts
Roof.
are really cheap.
Oh, just one.
Really? Maybe it's the poverty level we should be blaming at this point, because it's a cheap haircut. Yeah, I mean, these people doing it to themselves. What
about Aurora? The guy in Aurora, Colorado, he had like orange dyed hair.
That's true.
AOC has multiple pictures of her doing this. Virtually every pro athlete in the history of ever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's similar like pronouns and everything, trying to correct how people talk, you know. And
trying to control how people talk is what's going on.
Don't say you guys anymore.
Yeah, right. That's
Elizabeth Warren in the next 24 hours will come out against the white power symbol.
Well, and so let me just tell you what they say really quickly. People who use the bowl cut image or other bowl references admire Roof and call for others to emulate his racist murders.
I mean, there's a bit of a leap there. I don't know if you could detect.
There was an ellipses there.
Yeah, there's 540 words.
Beards will be racist next. If somebody dare do anything and they have a beard, like if you have a beard, you are.
That's a great point.
Exemplifying this behavior.
I'm losing a lot of haircuts here too.
Yeah,
we've lost the bowl cut. We've certainly lost skin.
Well, I'm balding. I can't do the bowl cut. So. Safe.
Certainly, we're at some point we're just all going to have to wear hats.
Yeah.
And not white hats.
Specific kind of hat.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't wear a red one. Not a red one.
No.
Don't wear
right. No red hats. No white hats. No white cone hats. There's a lot of hats we're going to be involved in.
Maybe we just use a burqa or just everybody
there.
There we go. Put a blanket over your face.
But I mean, really.
It would nice to see the ADL come out when Ilhan Omar blurts out some obvious anti-Semitism. Where are they on that stuff? I mean, like the OK symbol. This is insanity. You know, it is, we've gone down this road so far and so fast, and it's come to that point that none of it makes any sense. And I feel like that's just part of the plan at this point. Like, hopefully people will just throw their hands up and not care about this stuff anymore. But you can't, or it just keeps getting
Thumbs
worse.
up will be next, because thumbs up is what white people who have success do when they're happy.
Oh, because Trump does it, too. Trump does it, I mean, along with every other president, but what are minor details? Well, but what I find so fascinating about this is, like, 4chan admitted that they made it up, that it was linked to white supremacy. Like, they made it up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
It was a joke.
Like they were trying to scam the media.
Yes.
And they've fallen for it.
Right. And it's like, guys, they admitted that this was a joke, and now you just added it to your database of hate symbols. Like, you don't realize that you're being punked? You still don't realize it?
I'm just embarrassed.
Aren't you just embarrassed? Did you not have friends when you were growing up?
Turn America into another phrase that you can't be pro-American. That's racist, you know.
Yeah, I was listening to something from Dave Rubin, who's going to be joining us here at the Blaze in the coming months, and it's like he had pointed out, like there is a bizarre thing that the left does, and he was talking about his transition coming from the left, and one of the big things that turned him from the left was realizing that every single person that disagreed with them was being called a racist by his own team. And he's like, they can't all be racist, right? Like that, like sure, some of them are probably racist, but they can't all be, right?
Racism can't be just this such popular thing that all these people are racist. Like, you know, I mean, it can't be just this widespread thing.
Well, it's not like we've already had, you know, a black president.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have, but America's so racist.
Yeah, Candace Owens is a white supremacist.
Right, yeah.
But even the black president, they made him half white.
Realize there's a lot of you out there, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you're watching it on Facebook Live. If you have not yet subscribed to the podcast, the audio podcast, do us a favor and go do that. It helps us move up in the ratings and so that more people can see it. Stu also said if you actually give us a good rating, a 5-star rating, he would like show up at your house, cook you dinner, have a really kiss. Yeah. So you got to go do it. You can be entered to win.
It's like a kiss.